Hey guys, Reyfar here, and today I'm going to talk about Love Match by Kyell, which is his most recent novel. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. Um, for people that don't know, it follows Rocky, who moved from he's a blackback jackal, and he moved from his kind of war-torn kind of country in Africa to the United States to follow a tennis scholarship when he was 14, 15. I think it's one of those ages. I think it's 14. I can't quite remember. Something that kind of young, with his mother. But he had to leave his sister behind, and so there's that going on with the story. But mostly it follows him. It opens with is it a prologue, or was it? It is called a prologue. It opens with him in 2015, kind of introducing you to where he is now, and then goes to explain how he got there. Which is, so he took up a tennis scholarship, moved to America, and then he starts, and it continues from there, and his life growing up in the States and adjusting, and then going through high school, and then obviously kind of dealing with his sexuality as it goes on. And I think, obviously, as you can probably tell, that my main interest in, I guess, Rocky's story, or love match, or whatever you want to call it, is not necessarily the journey that Rocky takes, but more in how to put this right. Okay, so I want to extrapolate this a lot more, which I'll probably do a bit later, but I'll just say, I like the view that you have, or whether that the view that Rocky gives as you go through the story, as he sees the world and goes through the world, in terms of very fairy terms, and the expansion of the Forest universe, or not really expansion, but how the Forest universe has developed so much from probably a decade ago, even longer, a decade and a half ago, of when he started writing in the Forest universe, which I do want to go on. But I'll stop it there, and then I'll go back and then come back and whatever. So I've kind of cheated with Love Match. I haven't actually read the novel. I have been a follower of the Patreon campaign, which has been going on since 2015 now. So it's on its second year. Yeah, it's on its second year. And the Patreon, so for people that don't know, back then Kyell got like, okay, I want to do a work in progress of one of my next novels, and then I'll post installments every, I think it's a week, to Patreons who pay $5 a month to read just the updates of Love Match as it goes along, and yeah, that's it. So there are some differences. I've read bits and pieces there, like keen scenes, but it's not vastly different. I'm pretty sure if I read the novel cover to cover, I'll be like, okay, well, this scene was extended here or whatever, but I don't think it's changed wholly. So yeah, so I guess I'll bookend this a little bit with Love Match is an awesome book. Totally get it. It's a great new novel by Kyell, dealing with a gay character going through high school. A bit of a younger start, which is a lot more interesting, I think, because he's 15. I think he comes to the States, and you started with Corey when he was 17, and he's just about to turn 18. I think it was only 6 months before that. So I guess you could say it's a bit more normal in terms of him realizing his sexuality, but I mean, he doesn't really have a normal story by any stretch of the imagination. So yeah, so if you just hear for the review and the recommendation, you can pick it up from it's a Sofa Wolf book, isn't it? No, it's a. Is it a Sofa Wolf Planet book? Oh fuck! I can never ever remember this. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it is a Sofa Wolf book, and the one I have is just published by Fur Planet. No, it's published by Fur Planet. What? I think I'm getting it confused with Black Angel. But no, Love Match is a Sofa Wolf book. No, it's a Fur Planet book. So yeah, you can pick it up from Fur Planet as a soft cover and an ebook from their Bad Dog Books site. I'm pretty sure Rabbit Valley has it as a distributor. I haven't looked. Jaffa Books will have it at the table at Furdu in a couple of days. And then you can fucking Google it. There is an audiobook coming out. When? I don't know, but probably in a couple months. Yes, you can also read the work in progress version of it on. Actually, no, not. I don't think you can read this far back on the Patreon. But the Patreon, if you have read it and you want to read Year 2, which is the second book, well, whatever. It's patreon.com/Kyell Gold. I'm pretty sure it's Kyell Gold. You could just Google Kyell Gold Patreon and come up. And I think that's it. Ebooks, yeah, I think that's it. But you could also go to Kyell's writing websites like FA's. I think FA's. I don't know if they operate on so very much these days. But there's the prologue there, which is the 2015 part. There's also some short stories to do with characters in Love Match. There's Take a Picture or something that's to do with Brandon Lonace, the antagonist. If you're wondering why, I think that's pretty much it. So yeah, as you can probably tell, I didn't say anything about the characters aside from just it follows Rocky, which it's not to say that anything bad about it. So the point I wanted to make and talk about, I guess, is why is it? What was that face I pulled? So the point I wanted to go in and talk about isn't necessarily to do with anything with the story and its arcs and characters in itself, but more about, I guess, it's an interesting part in Kyell Gold's writing catalogue, history, itinerary, a sequence of books that he's brought out. Because, was it Waterways is... I'm pretty sure Waterways is a decade or a little bit older now. And kind of reading them so close, you can very much tell I guess... How to put this eloquently? I don't fucking know. Where the writing in the fandom has come in such a short period of time. And this is something I really want to get someone else on here to talk about. It's people that have been following his work for a while and then following other furry stories. Because, yeah, back in the day, there's a lot of writing relied a lot more on tropes and less on, I guess, the world crafting. I'm not talking about grandiose world crafting like you find in boring fantasy books, but I mean world crafting where, they've written in this style with these characters in this world that the author has in their head, whether it's actually explicitly stated as being a world, or just this is the author's idea of a contemporary setting, or set period in time, and they've written enough to build it up, and everything's a lot more organic. Because so if you go back and you read Waterways, there's a lot of the turns of phrases, and just some of the ideas are a lot more overt. Like, there's a lot of stuff where characters talk about foxes and refer to them as Todd or Vixen, or what are some other slang names for really animals, and they try and shoehorn them into well, not really shoehorn, oh god, ages and ages ago, this was a brief point brought up on Unsheathed podcast, and I quite like it. It stuck with me, where they were talking about how I guess it's more about talking about slang in fairy worlds and works and writing or whatever, and how we have what do you call it? So how the whole thing where it's foxes are sly, bears are strong and gruff and immovable, and dogs and wolves are loyal, they're packs, and these very kind of archetypes and personality traits you think of when you think of the animal. And they're saying that in kind of a furry world, would these translate well? Would if everyone was an anthro character, would there be different slang and different words to describe people? Some things in Kyell Gold's works where red foxes are just they just call them a red, or I'm trying to think of a better point, it's on the tip of my tongue, in terms of a descriptor. But yeah, basically it's that interesting idea in the theory crafting of these contemporary settings or whatever. It's what would stay and what would change? Would anthro fox people be regarded as mistrustworthy and sly, or would anthro fox people all be regarded as just dumb? We don't really know, but it's not really something to be solved, but it's an interesting thing to posit. Obviously Kyell Gold relies on this. People are people that aren't foxes don't really trust foxes because they always think that they're trying to pull one over on them, and some they kind of are, and they're sly coyotes, and I'm pretty sure you get the idea. But yeah, in the early works back in the day, in Waterways, it relied a lot more heavily on, I guess, these assumptions, you can put it. And then, moving quickly to my point, is with Love Match, because he's been writing in the world so long, and I guess other people have been writing with contemporary anthro characters, or just anthro characters in general, everything's a lot more, I guess, natural and organic, and I wouldn't really say subtle, but it's less glaringly noticeable. I think I'm pulling some weird faces. I need to not pay attention. That's what I really liked about following Love Match, and because Love Match is still incredibly fresh on my mind, because I'm reading parts of it every week, which is why I didn't bother reading it. I did pick it up and start, and I'm I already know what's happening, even though I just started this novel. And what I think my real hidden joy behind it is just going through the Forrester universe with a character that doesn't know too much about, I guess, contemporary first world country life. And then, seeing all these things, and things are brought up, and like it's really cool. Like some of my favorite things are real trivial. Like when Rocky and Marquise go to the meat and malts, and I like reading and seeing all the little details to do with that, and the fact that the restaurant's called Meat and Malts, and they're carnivores, and obviously it's all really just meat and milkshakes, and then there's the scene when Rocky's introduced to porn by Brett, who is a cougar or a mountain lion, or I've assumed his species wrong. I've guessed his species wrong. Whatever. And hang on, let me find the scene. I actually like the dialogue there. Well, okay, look. I couldn't find the passage I was thinking of. Like, this is why sometimes I wish I had the ebooks, and then I can just Control F not, and then find the scene. But Rocky and Brett are looking at porn together, and I can't. Yeah, the problem is I can't remember how it's brought up, and that's what I wanted to look at. But basically, Rocky brings up that, why is that? I'm drawing a blank here. Basically brings up he didn't realize that only canines had knots, and Brett's like he says something to the effect in the scene that I'm thinking of, like how the base of your penis swells up, and he's like, Rocky's like, I've never thought of that, and I really like how that was a really interesting kind of. Obviously, it's something that people would go through in their sexual exploration with a world with such differences in people or species or whatever you want to call them. And there's not just that, but other little things. I'm pretty sure there's there's a whole stuff to do with Christmas, and they were looking for a jackal Santa, but they could only find fox Santas, and I'm struggling to pull all these little things, but I really enjoyed it. It going through, because not just me as a reader has been reading his stuff for a while, but him as a writer, and I guess the whole scene. I've been doing it for a while now, so we've gone past those points where we have to kind of explain these things, or kind of think in the back of our mind, well, we can't rush into this because the readers might be too alien to them, or stuff we just don't really take for granted, and stuff like that. The whole scents and smells is something that's it's less pervasive, but done a lot more smarter in terms of people living in these worlds, which is, I think, one of my favorite things. I'm so nerdy to see what writers do with terms of scents and smells and characters in rooms where obviously smells would be really strong or very dizzying for them because they got heightened senses or dulled senses, and which is why I'm just so horribly kind of washing over this, but it's something I really want to talk to, but I think I'm struggling to do it by myself. And oh god, there was something else I wanted to bring up, but I can't remember it now. I think it was mostly just talking about him as a writer. If you've been obviously following Kyell Gold for a while, and some of the, I guess, the topics he goes to, and I do really like how he's exploring or writing. I don't want to say writing, but I think exploring characters without just, I guess, binary sexualities where it's like gay, straight, bi. And then everyone's a lot more wishy-washy. Like, I quite like how I guess subtly wishy-washy Rocky's sexuality is, I think. And I like how kind of straight man Marquise's sexuality is. And Brandon Lones, his sexuality is still an interesting one. Like, it's still not really... I wouldn't say, you know what it is. Yeah, I think that's really just it. I do really want to talk about it a lot more, but I'm kind of struggling. I think I might... yeah, so I think that's it. If you want to hear me talk about something a bit more, let me know in the comments or whatever. So yeah. I've been Reyfar, and I'll catch you later.